Alright, so it's been 3 years, I'm really late, so let's just get this over with. So Fireworks was a thing back in 2017, though a relatively abstract thing, and currently it has a 43% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 61% in user ratings. So I went into this film with absolutely no expectations, and all I have to say is, come on. How in the hell is this worse than that? At least the audience rating is higher. Fireworks follows our protagonist Nomorichi as he spends his summer festival with Nazuna, who's moving away in a bit, until he finds a device that allows him to travel through time, and now he's struggling to have the perfect summer festival with Nazuna. On paper, this does seem like a very quaint and charming story that has bits and pieces of complexity and substance, by suggesting that dwelling on how you could have done things differently will draw you towards clinging to that past, which it actually accomplishes somewhat, but in execution it's somewhat of a mixed baggage at worst, and pretty good at best. It's a blend of so many genres: romance, science fiction, coming of age, slice of life, fantasy, but for how ambitious it's trying to be with all of these plot points, it's so laser focused on the relationship between Nomorichi and Nazuna that, while it certainly is a perfectly fleshed out and intricate relationship, it also shies away from anything else this film introduces, the characters especially. Sure, there are some moments that are better left unexplored since the causes of said moments were the time traveling, but the moments where Nazuna's mother and stepdad were literally dragging her away, it's made quite clear that that was happening before the fracture in time. What the heck was up with that? It would have been fine if it was just a case of one-dimensionally evil grown-up, but they were shown to be pretty sensible people beforehand, even in situations when they were put under stress, with no sign of literally dragging Nazuna if they were ever given the chance. Fortunately, that's the only case where too much ambition left an interesting detail unexplored, but still. But putting that weird bit aside, the time loop concept alone is great. Mamoru Hosoda used that in Girl Who Leapt Through Time, and it worked wonders. So this has to work just as well, right? Well, kind of, in a good way. It plays off pretty much the same storyline, except now it communicates its message in a more comprehensible manner, which is a good thing, but the downside, there is no ending. No, really, I'm not exaggerating. There literally is no ending. It's straight up cut off. Now, the reasoning behind this decision is interesting from a message standpoint, partly because the entire point of the film is to stop asking what if and just live life in the reality you are currently in. The thing is, this decision somewhat backfires since the last question you want to leave your audience with is, what if there was an ending? That notion might have been why it had bad reviews. Like, an abundance of bad reviews. Which means we should probably talk about this video's title. In order to be disappointed by a film, you need to have expectations for said film. In 2017, 2 videos were dropped revealing content from Fireworks, a music video and a trailer. Both showcased incredible cinematography, painstaking visuals, and a spectacular soundtrack, while also presenting its very interesting premise, a blend between Girl Who Leapt Through Time and Your Name, which many people at the time thought was going to be a massive hit. Now that we've understood people had crazy expectations, let's take a look at how the film may have disappointed them, myself included, though I had pretty low expectations to begin with. Now, personal biases and situational factors don't necessarily cut for reasons why something turns out to be a flop. So we really have to look at the objective facts of why this film appeared somewhat of a quote-unquote failure. And here they are. The ending was entirely cut off, not every point or character was explored to their full potential. That's it. No, literally, that's all I could think of for why this film disappointed some. These 2 passable criticisms mixed with unreasonably high expectations were all it took for everyone to say that this film was worse than Ferdinand, Brave, and the f***ing Lorax, all of which are 100 times worse than this, with more things wrong with them than this thing. Unlike those 3 films though, I found myself genuinely enjoying this film until the lack of an ending kicked in, but even then I appreciated the journey more than the destination. It was beautiful, it was charming, and it was a pretty spectacular love story. I do wish more bits and pieces of the story were fleshed out, but at this point it doesn't really matter to me, I just like the characters and the story. It's pretty good. Out of all the anime films I've seen, it's second worst, but that should say something about the quality of the rest of the films I've seen. In conclusion, Fireworks was an understandable disappointment, but it wasn't bad enough to rival the ratings of The Lorax of all things. We tend to take a dump on something if it disappoints us, but in all honesty, I don't think we should have that high expectations to begin with, because you could end up using that as a punching bag that doesn't deserve to be punched out of anger. I know people will be pointing to a certain other review I made, and my attitude towards that film was the textbook definition of petty, and I apologize for that. Though even if I did remotely like Soul, I'd still probably would have it at number 9 spot in my worst to best video, and in comparison to Fireworks, believe it or not, I don't think it's that far off in terms of quality. Take that as you will, but both these films try to go for a similar message with as meandering endings as they are, and with subpar explanations of its world and characters.
6.7
out of 10. The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, a film by Mamoru Hosoda about a schoolgirl who can literally leap through time. Apparently the explanation's puberty. Your Name or Kimi no Nama by Makoto Shinkai, a film about two teenagers from different corners of Japan body switching, and it just gets bigger from there. And finally, Silent Voice. Saw that one coming, didn't you? So that's my review for Fireworks 2017. What are your thoughts on the movie? Are you going to see it on Netflix if you haven't? Comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It takes hours and days to make these videos where it only takes seconds of your time to do those 4 actions. As always, thank you for watching and see you next time.